much. Human trafficking is such a broad term and at times very misunderstood. And yes, it's personal to us. Ilanka's story, my sister's story, is really hers to tell, but it's a story of victory, of what God can do when he gets in a life, no matter how destroyed a life was. But it's a tragic crime, and very few actually see that restoration. Most prevalent in America, we're the #1 nation on earth commercializing sex with children. It's a bitter pill to swallow for the land of the free.
It's
and the
right
home
here
of the
in
brave.
Dallas-Fort Worth
Local.
and just about every city in America.
Joni, every single zip code, and this is not an exaggeration, every zip code in America has had investigations of child sexual exploitation. Every. This crime doesn't profile race, gender, class, socioeconomic status. It doesn't care. It's a fight that started in Genesis 6. There's enmity between the seed of Eve, right, and those who follow Satan. And that's the war we're facing today. So you're talking about a spiritual battle that for the most part we're trying to combat in the physical, and we have to bring God into the conversation.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your sister, you growing up. Exactly how did she get pulled into human trafficking?
Yeah, to exploit somebody, you need to know their greatest desire and their greatest fear. For Ilanka, it was music. I just watched an incredible worship session. Ilanka was gifted by God with a voice. She won a competition like American Idol in South Africa, pre-American Idol. She won a recording contract at 12, no father in the home, which made her more vulnerable to trafficking. I was 18, this is 1994, and through the music industry, Ilanka was trafficked for a period of 6 years, which took 6 years to get her rescued and out of it. But we learned then the work starts.
Yeah.
Then you have to, because most traffic victims, Joni, die after rescue, not during.
Yeah.
It's that process of now what do I do with the pieces?
Yeah.
What do I do with the holes and all the belief systems that are shattered?
Did you have contact with her during that 6 years?
The first year, no. And the predator, who was a music manager by the record label, is who trafficked Ilanka. He took a year to groom, earn trust with the family, step in to become a father figure. We got to know his children. So predators are patient.
Really?
So this crime, do you know that only 1% of the crime...
So as far as she knew it for a whole year, everything was hunky-dory?
100%.
Really?
No, they executed, recorded the album. She started to go on tour. They will always deliver. A predator, this is Satan. It's 99% truth with 1%, lie. But they earn the trust. They take time. Today it happens online. Today they coerce and earn the trust in the heart of a child online.
Yeah.
There it was physical, but it was time. And then normally there's a sexual violation, a rape, a pressure on the child to self-exploit, to self-expose. Then shame, condemnation, guilt, and threats come in. In Ilanka's case, I will kill your family. I'll hurt your mother.
And she was only 13 by the time the year had passed, 14 years of age.
Yeah.
So how did she get out? Tell us about that. And when you found out exactly what was going on, did that ignite something in you personally? Yeah,
and we really didn't know what happened until after Ilanka's rescue, because you don't know, right? Here's what happened. A police officer who was working a second job at a casino, just moonlighting as a security guard, walked past the dressing room and heard a woman scream. And Ilanka will tell this story this way. That morning she woke up and said, "Today if I die, I die, but I'm gonna fight." And that's normally all it takes, Joni, is when there's a predator, they're cowards.
Yeah.
You have to fight. But to fight in darkness when you don't know your identity in Christ is very difficult. So because she fought, he broke through a door, Ilanka was rescued, but then she ran away. She ran away for quite a while, and that happens often, so often. You highlighted the justice mission, and I had this conversation with Heather Schott at Mercy Culture. A lot of the women after rescue, they return to the perpetrator.
Right, because there's just something that happens in the brain
It's a belief
psychologically,
system. Yeah. They believe it's love. They believe it's unconditional. They believe no one will trust them. They're afraid of law enforcement.
And they feel shame from what they've been involved in.
Yeah.
So she finally, how did she get out of it? Because, I mean, today she is working with you.
Today, she's a worship leader on fire in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, that's amazing.
Right? She's a mother of 3. She's married to a music producer. The healing God had to do in that life, Joni, it's still my favorite success story, partially because it's my sister, but also it's so rare. Yeah. But it took a lot of work. Ilanka will talk about, suicide attempts. She'll talk about, we know now if a human being is exploited, you triple the amount of time for recovery. So if it's 3 years of exploitation, right?
9 years.
It's 9 years of recovery, so 6 years, 18.
Wow.
And that's the hope that they stay in a program. That's the hope that they have the community around them, the Christ community, to rebuild a life.
Okay, so for people who are watching right now, Jaco, what can they do to help? Because honestly, there are so many different ministries and people talking about this.
Yes.
You don't really know who is getting money to the victim, who's actually being rescued, where it's making a difference. What can you say as far as people watching that would want to help and maybe would never, be involved in a ministry like this personally or get to rescue somebody personally?
It's really the question to ask, because it's not fighting the White House. It's not fighting state legislation. Some will go do that. We do that. We write laws. For the viewer, it's really about your family. It's about asking tomorrow morning when you wake up, am I part of the problem? It's a tough question to ask. Do we watch pornography in this house? Has someone been exploited in this house that's never talked about it? Has someone seen something and not said something? Do we know what to look for? So I encourage people to go to our website and learn, what are the signs? How can you tell whether a child is being bullied versus exploited? Yeah. How can you tell whether a child's being groomed online by a predator versus just ostracized by a peer group?
Yeah.
This is in many families' homes, and they don't know. We've chalked it up as, as bullying. We've chalked it up as, a personality disorder or anxiety or peer pressure. Meanwhile, the child's talking to a predator that's slowly stripping away at the child's identity. So we really have to, in the home, understand how to fortify the home first, and then go from the home to the community, the school board, the state house.
Absolutely. Could you share a few of those signs that your parents should be looking out for?
Typically, I'll give you a quick little example. You can read a traffic experience in a 7-Eleven gas station. There's a certain way a father-daughter behaves.
Okay.
And there's a certain way a predator will behave with a quasi-fake daughter. Now, that predator will never take his eyes off that child in a 7-Eleven. Why in a 7-Eleven or any gas station? They're looking for a customer. The child will be in the candy aisle, static. The father will be in the drinks aisle in the back, locking eyes, looking for a customer. A normal father is in and out of that gas station quickly, breaks eye contact with his daughter, will make eye contact maybe 5 times, will call her, is engaging, but he's on a mission. A predator stalks prey. So at the airport, at any Friday night football, the Super Bowl coming up, all those kind of things, a predator will look at that person as a possession. It's a different look in a guy's eye. You see it. Will not break contact, will ostracize the person, will tell a child you shouldn't have a lot of friends. If there's a strong friend that's a voice of reason, so if your daughter, for instance, breaks relationship with one of her best friends and it just doesn't make sense. Why? What happened? Mom, I don't want to talk about it. Maybe someone online told her, coerced her to break that relationship because that friend is a voice of reason. The friend may blow the cover of the predator because she's sharing information. Right. So they'll start to isolate the child. So when a child changes behavior, forget about medicine, start asking, is there potentially sexual exploitation? When a child changes peer group, you should ask questions. We're not asking these questions. When grades fall, when a child falls asleep in the classroom, why is that prevalent? Because the fastest growing form of trafficking is familial trafficking, means it's a family member trafficking the child. 48% of trafficking is familial, and over 50% of the 48%, it's the mother trafficking the daughter. So the child's at home. It's not kidnapped. So the child goes to school, falls asleep, grades fall. The coaches see her performance go down, and no one's asking, could there potentially be sexual coercion? Could there be pressure? Is this child performing sexual favor while coming to school?
And so I want to get to your father's story too, but so how do people watching support your ministry, and what are you doing as far as this year to make a difference in sex trafficking?
Critical focus for us this year, we're always integrated from awareness prevention all the way through placement, and we partner with 172 nonprofits in the country. But our critical focus really is the heart of the issue, is we have to stop the crime. You can arrest and rescue, but that's triage. We have to change the morality of America.
You want to go earlier.
Earlier, absolutely.
Because
I want to fortify the child.
Yeah.
So that if we can raise the risk profile of the child in the predator's eyes, if the predator looks at a child, starts communicating, this child may see me for who I am. They pass.
Yeah.
So we need to fortify the children. Well, that's Christ's identity.
Yeah.
That is a peer group, that's family. So we're focusing heavily on that. 2 documentaries coming out, Sex Nation, which is a 70-plus year look at America's moral fall, Borders to Bridges, and then we're writing a lot of legislation at the moment to combat sexual content in the classroom, where children are groomed through the education system.
Which is insane what's going on now in public schools. There you see the website, Jaco Booyens, ministries.org, a lot more information on there. Quickly, you got to tell us about your father, because that's another great miracle in your life.
Unbelievable, right? And again, fatherlessness in our country is a key contributor to human trafficking because the predator knows there's no father. There's no Ezekiel 33 watchman on the wall.
Wow.
Warning, right? So my father, not in our life, very dysfunctional. He would show up whenever he felt like it. We'd go straight to a bar when he picked me up. My mom never knew. I saw crazy things as a child in the inside of a bar, prostitution, womanizing spirit, the Jezebel spirit, etc. And for 13 years, I prayed for my dad just to come home, to remarry my mom, just to have a father. When I was 20, one day, I started changing my prayer, and I said, Lord, I just want him to be saved.
Yeah.
I just want my father to know you. I just want him to make it to heaven. Many, many years later, he'd never self-acknowledged that he was an alcoholic. He never thought he needed help. He was a very dysfunctional alcoholic. He called me one day in 2010, and he said, Jaco, I'm an alcoholic. Standing outside a Christian rehab center. I'm going to go give my heart to Jesus. For 90 days, when I come out of this facility, I want to talk to you about Jesus. He was in South Africa. I was here. The director of the program calls me and said, your dad started a worship band. He's on fire for the Lord. 2 years, we rebuilt our relationship. And it culminates in one day when I flew back from South Africa. I just saw my dad 17 hours before.
You got to tell him you loved him.
Told him I love him.
Yeah.
So I left South Africa. I tell my dad, Dad, I love you. I drive off. God speaks to my spirit, say, go back. So I reversed the car. My dad's in the rearview mirror. I get out. He said, did you forget something? I said, no. God just wants me to tell you I love you. And he had these piercing blue eyes. He said, I love you. Get in the car. Our arrangement was when you land, call me. I forgot to call him. I'm in the shower. My wife said, call your dad. His name was Benjamin. I call my dad. My uncle answers, and I hear screaming in the background. And my uncle says, Jaco, there's blood. There's blood. I'm thinking, what is happening? He said, your dad's bleeding. We don't know why. I just saw him 17 hours before. And I hear my dad yell in the background, I want my son. I want my son. So I get on the phone with my dad. And I said, Dad, what's happening? He said, forget about that. Listen to me. My body is weak, but my spirit's with Jesus. Right now, I see him. And God speaks to my spirit. I hear the Lord's voice, Joni, and God says, you can keep him for a while, but there's risk. He may fall away from me, or I take him now, and you know your prayers are answered. And out loud, I said, God, take him. And my father passes. And there's this euphoric victory. I even yelled, yes, yes. But I said to my wife, my dad just passed. Because he made it.
Yeah.
I prayed for 14 years for him just to make it. He made it.
He was there.
Yeah.
But yet he passed away. And so God redeems.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
He's the great Redeemer. He will restore every broken life.
Amen.
It's us recognizing him as the Redeemer.
For all those years
Amen.
that you prayed, and some of you watching, you've been praying for a loved one. There's a wife that's been praying for a husband. There's a mother that's been praying for a son, and a daughter that is really not where they should be with the Lord. And I just want you to go to the phone right now and call and just give us their first name. And we're going to pray at the end of the program, get Jaco to pray, because there can kind of like, don't be weary in well-doing. And it's almost like you feel like you're going to faint because you have just prayed so much about this. But God is saying, I've got this. And there's been a lot of prophetic words that said in 2023, there are going to be a lot of prodigals to come home. So call and give us that first name, and we're going to believe God to touch them in a real way.
Yeah. And Jaco, another thing I'd like to talk about is I know you recently visited the U.S.-Mexico border, and I know it's at a crisis right now. Can you share your thoughts when you went down there?
Yeah, it's a very controversial topic and it's difficult for Christians because we love and we want to give. But I asked God, what is going on here? And God said, Jaco, it's borders to bridges. I created nations.
Yeah.
A nation with borders, there's biblical reference for this, but we must build bridges of compassion.
Yeah.
We must hold other governments accountable to take care of their people. We can't just displace children. And what's happening, on first account, it's the largest human migration atrocity known to modern day man. Yeah. The slavery, the sexual exploitation, and I'm talking about 60% of children are sexually abused before they arrive to the border.
Really?
In transit. The cartels, the debt bondage that's over their head once they arrive here. Even if they pass through Border Patrol, there's a price to be paid. The average going price in El Paso is $6,500 per person. $8,500 in Eagle Pass in Del Rio. That's a debt that person has to pay to the cartel.
Wow.
Often, the women can't pay the debt because they can't work legally, so they pay the debt with sex.
Wow.
So they are being sexually exploited in the U.S., and then that debt number moves. Once they've paid $8,500, the cartels say, you know what? You owe us these fees, $10,000 more. So they are in perpetual bondage. We're seeing displacement of people becoming homeless. On our interview account, I'm talking to a lawyer. There was a lawyer in Guatemala who'd never been homeless in her life. She's homeless with her children in 9-degree weather in an ice storm, saying, I was told I could work in America. So there's coercion going on in the process where some nonprofits and government agencies in Mexico and the cartel are telling them, just go to America. You'll have a home. You'll have a job. Every child will have a house. Yeah. Some of those lies are perpetuated in the media and by politicians. Yeah. And these are lies. It's not true. We can't displace people from around the world. We have a massive problem dealing with human trafficking and foster care in our own country. Look at the child without placement number in our own country. Right? So we should not coerce people to be stripped from their homes. Now, some absolutely, the Lord is calling them to the U.S., and we must reform immigration and understand how to take care of people. But it's going to be the body of Christ that's going to lead that way.